This is the Transformers from the movie Rise of the Beasts. We have the Voyager class Optimus Prime. Back. Great artwork all around. I love the packaging. It's very soft, very light. You're not going to strain yourself carrying this box. I picked up this figure from Toys R Us at Vivo City in Singapore. And here is Voyager class Rise of the Beasts Optimus Prime out of the box. And, you know, the figure is really yet another mixed bag for me. There are a lot of really good attributes in terms of the sculpt, the engineering, quality, look and feel. But then there are a lot of things you just hate about this figure. So it's kind of 50-50 right now. Head to toe, the figure stands at about 16 centimeters tall, or about 6 1/3 inches tall. Normally I do the comparison at this point in time, but I wanted to do the pros and cons first. Let's talk about the things I liked about the figure. The sculpt is pretty good. Proportion-wise, you know, I think it's pretty cool. Despite having some flat feet, the proportions still look great. He doesn't look goofy with the flat feet. And the feet, the way they've been sculpted, kind of mimics his tapered feet, but, you know, they're not. And I don't honestly understand why they couldn't have done the tapered feet, much like what the third-party companies are doing with their Optimus Prime, and what the Masterpiece movie series Optimus Prime did, it had tapered feet. Because honestly, this is not a functioning piece in truck mode. It's just a truck bed. It's just a flat piece for, I don't know, storage. It looks awkward. So I think they're doing this for stability, but given that the lightness of the figure, I don't think they really need this much size or this much width and breadth for the feet. I love the colors. Where there is paint apps, it's actually pretty good. If I could just show you that head sculpt, look at that. It's a pretty well painted, just great molded blue plastic for the head sculpt. Some light piping, I believe. Yep, there is some light piping. Very faint, but it is there. One thing I did not like about it is they molded the silver pieces in this, I don't know if this is the boring gray plastic, but this is like the glossy, semi-pearlesque type of gray plastic, which they should have molded it in light gunmetal gray or metallic plastic if they didn't want to paint it. So that's annoying. But where there's paint apps, like I said, look at this. Great paint on the legs, the feet. So that's great. At the beginning of the video, I had him in this really cool Spider-Man pose. And that's one thing I really appreciate about this figure. This particular hinge right here, which is part of transformation, really just such a game changer in terms of articulation for this figure. You could just get him in a lot of, again, like I said, Spider-Man poses, some dynamic poses because of this ab crunch hinge. And even the way the legs move, there's very little to obstruct articulation on the legs, the arms, despite having a lot of what would you initially perceive as a lot of kibble. He can pose very well, and that's what I probably appreciate the most about this figure. Just a very, very poseable figure. And since we're talking already about articulation, let's just do a rundown of the articulation. The neck, just a swivel right now. And look at this. The waist or the torso area has double swivel hinges. Instead of just having the upper torso swing out like that, you can also have the lower torso swing, and it's just so emotive. So much expression with that kind of articulation. Shoulders, then you go forward and backward 360. You go in and out. There's a bicep swivel. A hinge, it's a single hinge elbow, but it's more than 90 degrees, at least 120 degrees. Ball jointed fists. He's got hinges right here on the hips. You can do the splits, forward and backward, unhindered. These skirt pieces, they move out. You got a thigh swivel. The hinge knee is a single hinge knee, but again, 120 degrees. And the feet can move up and down and have the rocker tilt. Let's talk about plastic quality. From the waist down, fantastic. Solid plastic quality. You get to see those riveted wheels. We'll talk about that later in alt mode, but great plastic quality from the waist down. The chest, the clear plastic, not too bad. It's clear plastic. You can't expect a lot from it. The arms, the shoulders, these bits right here. This is one in particular. Just really cheapo plastic right here. Right there. And I don't know if they did that for safety reasons, for breakage and all that, but yeah, the head sculpt has great plastic here, but then kind of cheapo plastic here and here. So less than 50% is cheap plastic, but more than 50% is great plastic. So in terms of quality, I guess it's good enough. We'll talk about the cons, or the ones I did not like about the figure, as we do the comparisons. First off, here he is with Studio Series Bumblebee movie Voyager class Optimus Prime, as well as the Bayverse Voyager class Studio Series Optimus Prime from the first 3 movies. And one thing you will notice is he's short. For a Voyager class figure, I get it. You know, Voyager class is already a price point, but man, he's really short. And I thought it's the Studio Series figures that are getting smaller and smaller. You know, I'm surprised that a mainline figure is actually smaller than a Studio Series figure. Here's the other thing that kind of irked me. They've given Optimus Prime a teeny tiny pea shooter. I mean, look at this gun compared to this one. This was his gun in the Bumblebee movie. And Optimus Prime has always had a big gun. So I don't understand what happened here. Why suddenly he's got a toy gun, a pea shooter toy gun versus, I mean, come on, man. They could have just easily repacked this. They didn't have to do any remolding and all that. I mean, look at that. That looks great. I don't understand why they couldn't have just recycled and repurposed an original. That's his gun from the Bumblebee movie, and this movie is supposedly some form of continuation for that. And if they're worried about, oh, this one not fitting in robot mode or in alt mode, fans are not going to care about storing this weapon, because Optimus is always going to be holding his blaster. It's too small. Okay, and then here's another thing I noticed. Look at the ratio of the head sculpt size compared to the body. It's tiny. It's like somebody shrunk his head. Now, admittedly, it's a smaller figure, but the ratio, look at the ratio. The head should be almost as big as one of the chest pieces, and it's not. Same thing here. That's probably the first thing I noticed when I took him out of the packaging. And now here he is with some Generations figures. See how tiny he is. He just slightly above their shoulders. He does kind of scale well, particularly with these 2 figures. And finally, here's probably the biggest shocker for me. Here he is with a couple of deluxe class figures, Perceptor from Studio Series 86 and Twin Twist from the Legacy line. And if you look at them together, he's a little taller. I get that, but given the mass and the amount of plastic, he's practically a deluxe class figure, just a slightly bigger deluxe class figure. And I never thought we'd get to see this. I mean, I knew the figures were shrinking and all that, but it's happening. Voyager class figures are now the new deluxe class figures, and deluxe class figures are slowly shrinking into, I wouldn't say core class, maybe scout class figures. And then leader class figures are the new Voyager class figures. And it's priced more expensive than a Studio Series figure. Get that. So Hasbro's really making a lot of margin on these new figures. So let's transform him into his truck mode. Oh, one thing I wanted to point out are these flaps. They don't bug me as much, but they're kind of awkward flaps in robot mode, and they're still awkward flaps in truck mode. So I don't know if this is just movie accuracy on the part of the designers. So, okay, I'm gonna let that one go. So I'm gonna go ahead and rotate the arms this way. Just position them this way and fold the fists like that. Okay, the head sculpt, you want to go ahead and slowly just fold it like this. The horns, they missed it by a millimeter. It doesn't clear the chest as smoothly. It really hits that part. So be very careful when you're transforming it back to robot mode. Those horns are definitely going to scrape the chest. Okay, and fold here. Fold it like that. Now, the chest, just have to combine it this way. I guess you can rotate the top part of the torso. The feet, they're just going to fold up this way, rotate like this, all the way, rotate this middle section right here. So it folds up all the way, flush, Fold the feet up like this. Then you want to combine the legs, the feet, and then this hitch right here is going to complete the transformation and lock those legs in place. Now fold the skirts down like this, and then this hinge right here, you want to fold it up like this, and then the arms, you want to fold it just like how you would a G1 Optimus Prime figure. You want to unfurl these awkward flap pieces right here, fold up the arms and tab them in like that. Very interesting that the forearms, they tab onto the rear part of the truck and not here. Okay, you want to fold these panels out. Okay, you just want to tab them in and just solidify that whole cab section right there. Now, here's the tricky bit. There's these huge tabs right here. Not huge, but thick tabs right here. They're going to tab onto those thighs. And on my copy, this one doesn't have a problem. The right forearm doesn't have a problem. It's the left forearm that needs a little bit of a push just to push it all the way in and tab in. So, okay, must tab it all the way through that thigh. Otherwise, it's not going to be a solid. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and just tab the smokestacks. And again, there's flaps right here. Don't know how accurate that is. And then finally, these pieces right here, the wheels, you know, fold them out like this. It's on a double hinge, so you fold the first hinge and then the second hinge. And then you're going to just tab those wheels onto the hips. And that's the transformation into truck mode. And like I said, my comment about the feet, look at this. It doesn't need to be this flat. It could just taper and it will be fine. Because the gun just tabs in right there. Had it been a bigger gun, it wouldn't have been a problem. You could just tab it like here. It would extend like that. And, you know, fans are not going to mind that at all. There you go. There is Voyager Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime in truck mode. And even in truck mode, he feels like a deluxe class alt mode or car mode. And here's just to prove a point. Studio Series Bumblebee. I mean, come on. Really? Really? Granted, this is a Studio Series figure. I mean, I don't have the mainline deluxe class Bumblebee anymore. See my review of that one. It's almost as big as this car, as this Studio Series figure. So practically, this is how the mainline would scale up with this mainline Voyager. Here he is with Legacy Scourge, Siege Optimus Prime. Look how puny this guy is. I mean, really, Hasbro. Voyager. Seriously, man. Some final thoughts on this Rise of the Beast Voyager class Optimus Prime. I really was rooting for this figure. There are a lot of attributes that are really cool about this figure. Like, it's got great articulation, really posable figure. I mean, you get him in Spider-Man poses because of that game-changing ab crunch hinge. I love the proportion of the sculpt. Where there's paint apps, it looks great. The truck mode and even the robot mode looks pretty accurate to how he would look like in the movie. It doesn't look too awkward or goofy and all that. But it is a shame that there are a lot of things that really make you hate this figure. For one, it's too small. It's shrunk smaller than a Studio Series Voyager class figure. The head sculpt is way too small in proportion to the body, I think. And that pea shooter of a blaster is just way too small. He's missing some paint apps, and I just wish they could have compensated by molding the gray pieces into a more silvery gunmetal gray plastic, but they didn't. Transformation is okay. It's pretty satisfying. Plastic quality, lower half is pretty good. It's spot on. Upper half, some cheapo plastic here and there. I don't want to put this figure down too much because it really has a lot of things going for it. And yet at the same time, those little things, those things that really mar the experience of this figure, I think, you know, Hasbro could have gone the extra mile. They're charging, what, $55 for this now here in Manila. I just think it's too expensive. And with that kind of price tag, there are some expectations that come with it. And I don't think it meets those expectations for such a very pricey figure. I mean, at that price point, this figure should already be bordering on somewhere between a Studio Series and a masterpiece. Should be somewhere in the middle of that. So it's a little disappointing, and yet at the same time, it's still kind of fun. I think we can give it like a 7.5 or an 8 out of 10. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think of this Transformers Rise of the Beasts Voyager class Optimus Prime. Hit that notification bell so you never miss out on any of my latest video reviews. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.